Ready to take your favorite WagerTalk handicappers wherever you travel this football season? The WagerTalk TV app is now live for phones, tablets, smart TVs, and streaming platforms. Tune into your favorite shows like WagerTalk Today, Bet on It, and the Opening Line Report, plus browse through our extensive library of sports betting tips. Create your personal playlist of betting tip videos to help you prepare for the upcoming season, and set notifications to alert you when new content is added. Download the app for Apple, Android, Amazon, and Roku devices by searching for WagerTalk TV, or scan the QR code on your screen to join the winning conversation today.
Hey guys, welcome in at a very happy, honestly, I have no idea what day it is, but I do know it is the college basketball tip-off show powered by WagerTalk.com. I also know we've got some great, and I mean great games here on the slate tonight. Conference matchups, hard to believe here we are, January 26th. Another month from now, we'll be talking tournaments, seedings, all sorts of good stuff. But let's cash a few tickets here tonight along the way, and we'll do it with three of the best over at WagerTalk.com as we welcome back. Who is that guy? Oh, it's Bryan Power. Brian, strange guy waving. Bryan Power in the house. Tony Mejia looking on the back of milk cartons for you, sir. Welcome in. And, of course, Mr. Rob Vino, ready to roll here on this Thursday. Mejia, good to see you, man. Everybody, you feeling better? It's always a pleasure to get you back on here, man. What's going on?
I'm good. They're scheduling me later in the week, so I would have been good to go on Tuesday. But yeah, had a bachelor's party thing on over the weekend, so I was out of commission and then recovering Monday and good to go and playing catch up and whatnot. But still caught up with the football games this weekend, the light college basketball. But 3-0 on the college hoop slate last night. So we're up on a 5-0 run, and I have a 5% play to try to extend that today. Probably add a couple more. No NBA up yet, but I've already made my notes for the card, and we will have at least one play, probably multiple ones. So, yeah, good to go, man. Good to see you. Good to be back on.
Yeah, always a pleasure, man. And it's, I love this time of year here, Vino. You know this. We love this as college hoops in full effect. The NBA coming up close to the All-Star break. That's always an intriguing handicap. But do you have anything locked, loaded, ready to roll for us tonight?
Yeah, the NBA is locked and loaded, Joe. 3 plays up and available, WagerTalk.com. One best bet, one top-rated player prop. That's been profitable as of late multiple times. So, yeah, college basketball, though, slow and steady, 21-10 on the season right now, up 31 units. So college basketball has been going real good. Last night, an easy one, and you like when they're easy because they aren't always easy, but St. John's Creighton over the first half total. I think there was about 3.5 left in the first half when they exceeded that. So good news there last night.
You know what else was profitable? The Creighton and Johnny's second half total over. Yes, there you go.
That was my 4% full game.
Keep betting it, baby. Just keep betting it. Thank you very much. 104 points, Creighton. Bryan Power, part-time horticulturist, has updated his plants. I can see behind there, doing a little pruning in your spare time. How about tonight at WagerTalk.com? What you got going, man?
I think that's how you prune, at least. I would have no idea. Well, Joe, I'll tell you how I'm doing. I think I look okay today for a man that was hit by a bus last night. No, not literally. I don't think I would have. I always try to make it to the show. I value never missing a spot, Joe. But had I been actually hit by a bus, probably would have taken the day off. But figuratively was hit by a bus. If there was a team that had a horrible last-second loss last night, rest assured I was on them. But it's a new day. We're bouncing back. We got a couple best bets up on college hoops. I will be giving one of those out here on the program today, and we have a 5% play up in NFL that I feel very strongly in already up as well on my page. So new day, new results. Let's get them.
That is true. It is a new day. But before we leave the past in the past, anything I can do to relive this moment for you would be fantastic. Exactly what game was it that you had a problem with last night and this bus came barreling through and killed you? Which one?
Oh, where do I start?
Yeah.
Quite frankly.
Oh, there was more than one.
Oh, Houston, UCF. I don't even want to dignify the second half of Loyola Chicago against Duquesne. How are you up that much at half and you don't cover?
And you know what? Now I'm breaking out in hives as you're bringing it up. So I'm awful that I even brought it up for you. I won't remind you at all that you lost by not backing Houston. You catch that, Robert? Make sure you keep a note. All right, let's move on. Pac-12. Here we go.
Houston.
There we go. That boy, Mejia. All right, Mejia's mic stays on. Arizona taking on Washington State here tonight. -5 for the Wildcats here. 144.5 is what we are looking at as a total. I believe this is it's a little late night degenerate special here at 11 o'clock Eastern time tip. And boy, oh boy, it wasn't that long ago. What was it, 2-3 weeks ago, where Washington State's like, I got you, Arizona, right here. Now, question is revenge going to happen here tonight with these Wildcats? Talk to us, Brian Power. Are you buying Arizona to come back and handle business here?
Well, I'm glad this game was on the slate for today, because I can bring up the fact that I did have Arizona against UCLA on Saturday. That was a nice 4% winner. Wildcats led the whole second half, held the Bruins to 31.3% shooting, 20% from three-point range. That's after a 15-point win over USC at home. Both of those wins over the LA teams were at home, Joe. But now Zona goes on the road, and probably a little overvalued, in my opinion. They check in at number 6 in the latest AP poll, number 8 in the coaches. I got them a bit lower. Ken Palma has them still down at 16. And they face a Washington State team. You talk about bad luck. Few teams in the country have had worse luck than this Wazoo team. In the Ken Palm luck ratings, they are 361st. Just to keep for those keeping score at home, there are 363 teams in college basketball. So it has not been a lucky season in Pullman. But you did mention the win over Arizona, Joe. They did do that. Beat them by 13 in Tucson. Oh, by the way, 3 weeks ago. Yes, the revenge angle is in play for Arizona. But I think the key here is going to be Washington State's three-point shooting. They have gone ice cold the last 2 games, both of which were on the road, under 26%. This is a team that takes a lot of three-point attempts. Over 42% of its total field goal attempts come from behind the arc. They get 38% of their scoring from behind the arc. At home, I'm looking for better three-point shooting from Wazoo, and they're 9-2 straight up in Pullman, holding teams to 56.3 points per game. This is a team that has lost 6 games by 6 points or less this season. I'm taking the points with Wazoo in this one.
All right, a little Wazoo backing here tonight. Thinks they might be a little bit closer than some think. I think that was funny. The coach, Kyle Smith, I think the comment he made is, hey, it'd be great if Arizona sees us as, a rival. That would be something else. I guess he's not thinking they're in the same class, Vino, after, I don't know, beating them and breaking that, 28-game home winning streak for Arizona. So what do you think we get here tonight?
Yeah, you want to talk about ice cold shooting, Joe. And that was Arizona in that first matchup against Washington State. I don't know that Washington State can duplicate those numbers, whether it was their defense or Arizona's offense, but it was a season worst, 31.7% from the field for the Wildcats, 16% from 3, 60.7% from the free throw line. I mean, just a miserable shooting night, lose by 13. Generally, off of that UCLA win Saturday, I would think maybe they overlooked this team today. But with the revenge angle, I don't think so. Money movement here, to me, seems to be correct. Arizona defensively, Joe, 4 of their last 5 hasn't allowed the opponent to shoot 40% from the field. The defense has really kicked in. I think the offense plays better here against this team. Again, we have a couple of second-time arounds here in the Pac-12. here this evening, this being one of them. So you get to see what you did wrong, come back and correct it. Of course, Arizona, a team, even though it's at Washington State, is kind of immune to venue, so to speak. So I would probably lay it here with Arizona. Totals come down a couple points. Can't say that I disagree with that. But I do think I would be on the Arizona side here, minus 5 points.
All right, look at that. You know what I did not know here there, Mejia, is former, I believe, UT guard Courtney Ramey is on Arizona. Did we even know? I haven't talked about him, and I'm wondering what happened to him. But apparently, they've made a few adjustments, and this kid is on fire now.
Yeah, knockdown 3-point shooter. I mean, that's what you can count on from Courtney Ramey. And he went 0 for 3 in that first meeting against Washington State. But I want to talk about Kirk Kriisa, because I have a little bit of a vendetta against him. In the Oregon State game that I played as a 4%, because I don't think I would have remembered it otherwise. They were dominating that first half in Corvallis, ended up winning just 86-74. It was entirely tied to Kriisa just throwing the ball around, like it was a park and rec game. And in Pac-12 play, so I went out of my way to look this up.
Course.
22 for 82 from the field, 26.8%. He's 15 for 66 from three-point range. That's 22%. 37 assists, 26 turnovers. I don't know that there's a more overrated guard in the country, because he's fun to watch, but he's not a good shooter. He is the engine to that team, though. He gets guys like Tubelis and Balo the ball. So they need him to be more effective than he's been. Otherwise, I will see Arizona as one of the more overrated teams in March. The other kid on his backcourt mate, Pal Larson, pretty steady. But they really aren't deep. So that leads me to my segue. I think Washington State might sweep the season series against the Wildcats, and I'll gladly take the points here. Mohamed Gaye had his season best 24 points and 14 rebounds. He's a great offensive rebounder, so they have some size to deal with Tubelis. TJ Bamba came back in the loss to Colorado and scored 18, so they're back closer to full strength. And that's the whole thing. There's a dichotomy between Washington State on the road and at home. 1-5 their last 6 true road games, 6-2 at home, with the losses being in overtime to Utah, second place in the Pac-12 right now, and by 1 to Pac-12 leading UCLA. So clearly they show up in Pullman. I just think gladly take the points, but I think Washington State could actually pull off the outright upset.
All right, thinks there's an opportunity here for a little upset here tonight in Pac-12. We got another really interesting one out west too as well. We'll take a look at about a little rivalry game between USC and UCLA. If you guys remember a couple of weeks ago, it was the first one to 50 wins. Boy, UCLA somehow managed to come back and win that game. USC had done a really good job against them, but now they get a little revenge on their mind at home. UCLA laying 4.5, 133.5 here. Talk to me, Brian Power here. Are you a believer that the home team can hold serve here and exact a little revenge?
Yeah, you alluded to that second half in the first meeting, Joe. Woo. UCLA scored 16 points over those 20 minutes, and they still hold on for the 2-point win. What's interesting, they were obviously up big at the half, 44-26, the Bruins, but that's very uncharacteristic for them. I went over this in the analysis for that UCLA-Arizona game on Saturday. UCLA has now been trailing at the half in 5 of their 9 conference games. So they were living dangerously. It was one of the reasons I faded them on Saturday. I just don't think you can consistently win when you're trailing at halftime. Now, that was the first loss for UCLA since November 17th, which was against Baylor, against Arizona. They didn't shoot well. We talked about that in the last game. It's a talented team, but, USC, they've won 9 in a row at home. 6 of those teams, they've held to 64 points or less. This is going to be a low-scoring game, much like the first one. In that game in Westwood, USC, 3 of 16 from 3. They only attempt 6 free throws. My guess is, at home, we're going to see those numbers go up. The Trojans' only loss since that first meeting was at Arizona exactly 1 week ago. They win at Arizona State on Saturday. That's a pretty nice win. 4 players finishing in double figures. I think the world is likely to be on the favorite bouncing back here. The number has come up a a little bit. I like the points again with the home dog. Give me USC.
All right, like in USC, I mean, it was a hell of a comeback, Vino, in that first matchup. The Bruins just, they couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat. I mean, it was laughable. They should have won by 20. They were as much as 18 they were up in that game. What changes, if anything, in this one, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, in the end, all that work USC did in the second half and a Jalen Clark 3 last shot winds up, deflating everything for the Trojans. But let's talk about, UCLA shooting in that game. I just talked about Arizona shooting a season worst against Washington State. How about UCLA put up their season worst field goal percentage against against USC in that game? Some numbers to look at here from the other side. USC, the field goal margin in that game was all them, plus 12.7% field goal margin. However, as Bryan pointed out, all the damage was done from 2 because the 3-point shooting was lousy. And even though UCLA shot the basketball terribly in the second half of that game, they got 16 offensive rebounds in that contest. For a team that's so good interior defense-wise, USC, they're 332nd in defensive rebounding. Those numbers might repeat themselves again. We'll have to see. As Bryan mentioned, the free throws could straighten themselves out again with the change of venue because it was a 17-6 UCLA advantage. First time around, USC didn't have 7'1" center Vincent Iwuchukwu. He's played the last 4 games. USC has still managed to get out rebounded in 3 of those 4 games, even with the addition of a 7-footer to help out and take some minutes off the clock for their starting center. That game was played at a snail's pace, Joe. You talked about first one to 50 wins, 59 possession game.
Oh.
It's something's got to give here. It's got to be speeded up a little bit because neither team was great shooting the basketball. I'm of the opinion that, USC is not a good 3-point shooting team to begin with. So while 3 of 16 is bad, I wouldn't expect any drastic improvement. But I do expect improvement in shooting overall and perhaps in the whistles here that could result to more points. You see the bump in the total go from 31.5 to 33.5 now. I kind of think that's correct. We're talking about a 68-66 game here in this. If you want to use the point spread, I guess we're talking 69-65, which to me seems reasonable here. I think UCLA shoots better. I think USC shoots a little bit better. As for the side, it's difficult because the situation, you can argue from 2 sides of the fence. Is it a UCLA bounce back from the loss to Arizona over the weekend? Or is it a USC revenge spot? I don't know. So I'll stay away from the side. Probably look at the total to go over.
All right. Looking for a little bit of a over here. I don't hate that look there, Tony Mejia, because if they came even close to being as efficient as they were in the first half, they didn't even have to shoot great. It's probably going over in the first game. Are you expecting a different situation here tonight in USC?
Yeah, I mean, it was 44-26 at the break, and I think the total was 137. So yeah, I mean, if they duplicated that, it would have gone over. But I'm of the opinion that this game's going to go under 7 of 8 in the last in UCLA's last 8, and 7-1. So the low side typically wins, and the only over was by 1.5. Under is 4-1 in USC's last 5. And Rob mentioned Iwuchukwu. I mean, he's a 7'1" kid that is going to play in the NBA. He had a cardiac issue that has kept him out all his time. Mick Cronin says a different team with him, but he's obviously been brought along very slowly. He actually had his best game in the blowout last time out, had a career best 12 points, and he's clearly very talented. So, it'll be interesting to see how he handles the intensity of this rivalry. For UCLA, what changes is freshman Amari Bailey, one of their top recruit, is back. He's missed 7 games after getting stepped on by Oscar Tshiebwe, aggravated that injury, hasn't played pretty much all of 2023, but he'll be back tonight. He's their best creator that's not named Tiger Campbell. So Campbell creates shots for everybody else. This kid Bailey can pull up. He can help alleviate some of the scoring lulls that have affected the Bruins of late and made them look pretty ordinary. I mean, look, they run offense. Both of these teams obviously scout themselves playing in the same city. This is the biggest rivalry in Los Angeles, so you know what you're going to get. Jaime Jaquez is going to be played through in the post. You know you get Jalen Clark playing out on the perimeter. Singleton gets to come off the bench now with Bailey back, so he's a better in that reserve role. So, I mean, a lot changes from one thing to another. That's why I probably won't touch anything other than my lean towards the under. But, yeah, the other thing that surprised me, Mick Cronin has never won at Galen Center, which, given his success at UCLA, was surprising to me. The 6 free throw attempts in the first game, you would figure that Andy Enfield is going to make a concerted effort to get those guys to get into the paint and try to draw somebody in foul trouble. And, the last thing, Boogie Ellis had 5 turnovers in that first meeting, and him, Peterson, and White, their top 3 scorers, shot 11 for 29. So, this is 2 teams that know each other extremely well, probably a tight game. I would lean under.
All right, leaning under. I mean, UCLA, they've had 5 days rest to think about that loss there they got to Arizona. We'll see if they can put it together and bounce back here tonight as USC and UCLA, always fun getting ready to do battle. We do have one other game that might be of interest to folks, and it involves the number 1 team in the country here as Purdue is going on a road, taking on Michigan here. 5 is what we are seeing. It's been 5.5, somewhere around that ballpark there. Total 136. This is a classic Bryan Power, as you have talked about in the past. We want to sell high. We want to buy low. So the question is, are you selling high on Purdue? Or are you buying low on Michigan here? What are you doing?
We are doing both, Joe. You've been
Yes.
listening. That always makes me feel so happy when you've been paying attention for at least a second or two when I speak.
All right, settle
you can
down.
go back to
Just
not
get to
doing
the
now.
pick.
Okay.
Good God.
All right. My best bet is Michigan on the show today. This is a client play. Joe, I think you've noted, well, maybe you don't, but I'm known to associate with certain corners of the internet. We don't need to get into all of those right now, but I am in the corner of the people who are looking to fade Purdue right now. Rated number 1 in the country. You may say, why would you want to do that? Well, I don't think they're the number 1 team in the country. Got them a little bit lower. I've faded them each of their last 2 games. Now, that was not smart when they played Minnesota on the road, but it was smart when they played Maryland on Sunday. I cashed a winning ticket there. That was a very low-scoring game, 58-55. I thought the Terps should have stolen it. Purdue is 0-7 against the number this season, following a game where they allow 60 points or less, so take note of that. And they are now one of only 4 teams, just 4, that have not lost a true road game this season. Very, very hard, as you know, Joe, to win every true road game over the course of the season. They have not won in Ann Arbor in quite some time. I believe 2018 you would have to go back to for their last win at the Chrysler Center, not the Chrysler Arena anymore, apparently. So Michigan, I think, can match up well with Purdue because they've got Dickinson, right? And I think he's one of the few individuals who can slow down Edey. Purdue's perimeter defense also, I think, is suspect and could cost them in the tournament. Michigan, when you look back at their results, they have not been beaten by more than 6 points in regulation since November 17th. So I think their record could be a lot better coming into this game if just a couple different bounces of the basketball. I smell an upset Thursday night in Ann Arbor, but I would advise everyone to take the points while you can get them.
All right, taking the points while you can. 5 is the number, and Mejia, they are desperate here, this Michigan team. They need a win, and boy, oh boy, would this help get their season back on track here a little bit. Do you think they can at home? Can they take down this top team in the country?
I think they absolutely can do it. I just don't know that they will. I mean, I was a little dubious on this Michigan squad coming into the season because they lost their glue guy, Eli Brooks. They lost Caleb Houston, who didn't have a good freshman year, but was still talented enough to be a first-round pick with the Orlando Magic. Musa Diabate, the big man that really helped Hunter Dickinson with some of the dirty work inside, also gone. So this was a Wolverine side that I thought would take a step backwards. But I didn't think Purdue was going to be this good at either, losing Jaden Ivey. And then you replace him with two freshman guards who have really stepped up. And Fletcher Lawyer has been nails late in games, and he's one of the reasons why they've been able to ascend to this number one ranking, because they should have lost to Ohio State. And then they had that other close call against Michigan State, where they got the ball to Edey late after the Walker made shot after shot, and I was on Purdue in that game, so that was a loser for me. But look, here's the deal: these teams have a history. Last year they played twice in a 6-day span because COVID knocked out the first meeting, so they had to be rescheduled. First meeting, Hunter Dickinson had 28 points, but Michigan still lost. Second meeting in Ann Arbor, Purdue got destroyed, 82-58. So that was the highest ranked opponent Juwan Howard has beaten since his stint in Ann Arbor. So I think there's a chance that Michigan can really play over their heads and win this game. And I think it's going to come down to foul trouble, because Dickinson has the size to bother Edey. Maybe they get a home whistle, and Edey is a non-factor in this one. They don't have a big as good as Travion Williams from last year to play through. I think that was a luxury last season that they just simply don't have. And at the same time, if Edey gets Dickinson into foul trouble, and it's going to depend on the whistle, because the man is 7'4" and bigger, Dickinson, who's 6'10", so it just depends on the whistle. Then you knock out the player that Michigan wants to play through. So I want no part of this one.
All right, it should be an interesting one here tonight. Can Purdue keep it going, laying 5 on the road against the desperate Michigan squad? Love the lineup here tonight across the board, guys. A lot of great opportunities here to hop on in, and I know, Vino, you are going to look at this game, and there's either a first half play. You got a total cut. You got something coming for me in this matchup here. So tell me where you're looking.
I like a lot of what was said ahead of me, Joe. I agree with a lot of what was said ahead of me. So for that reason, I kind of lean toward what Bryan's saying. I don't emphasize it as a best bet in my mind, but I do think Michigan plus the 5. The injury situation for Michigan has been terrible, right? They lose Jett Howard on Saturday. And interesting to read the quote about how his dad refers to him. I feel sorry for the young man. It's your kid, Juwan. But he talks like he's just another kid that he recruited. Doug McDaniel, however, comes back in this instance. So you lose one, you gain one. Does that disrupt flow? I'm not sure, Joe. Obviously, we see that happen in the NBA quite a bit. College basketball, somewhat different, because when you get a star player back, a starter back, it's usually very, very helpful. Like what Tony said about Hunter Dickinson, what Bryan said about Hunter Dickinson, that's the key here. Not many people match up with 7'4" Zach Edey. That's why he's, Ken Pom ranked number 1st National Player of the Year candidate at this point in time. But I'll go back. I like to go back and look at teams that are kind of comparable to what your opponent is. And in the case for Michigan tonight, because Purdue loves to play so slow, 330th tempo in the country. I went back to the Virginia game. Virginia, another one that just refuses to run whatsoever. And Michigan only lost that game 70-68. They're right there the whole way. +5 would get you a cover in that instance. So I think that they're capable in this instance. Tony referred to whistles between the big men. Well, I'd rather have the home whistle than the road whistle. So let's think that Zach Edey might be the guy in foul trouble here. Dickinson did dominate offensively both times last year. And to Tony's point, Zach Edey didn't have to cover the whole game last year. He had Travion Williams. Remember that they would platoon those guys basically at center back and forth. So maybe having to go the distance here has an effect against a true 7-footer in this case. ATS-wise, real quick, Purdue's just been vastly overpriced. I mean, it's a 16-1 straight-up team that's 5-11 with a push against the spread. That's the definition of overpriced. I know Michigan's got their troubles injury-wise, but again, Purdue just seems to draw money. I don't have all that much faith in Matt Painter in games that are meaningful, so I'd rather probably lean the other way here. I think Michigan, probably the right side here, plus the 5. They've been really good at home. And if you take a quick look at Purdue's Big Ten schedule so far, Conference League schedule, 9 of the games they played, 4 of them, almost half, have been against Minnesota and Nebraska. Starting to play the big boys now. We'll see if they're truly the number 1 team in the league.
All right, there we go. We're going to learn a little something here about both these teams tonight. Buy low, sell high. All sorts of opportunities on the card tonight. And again, guys, it is a great college hoops card, but not just college hoops, great NBA card. You may recall there's still some football games being played. And, of course, the opportunity for you to head over to WagerTalk.com and visit Rob Vino, Bryan Power, and Tony Mejia. Hop on board, guys, with those 3-day, 7-day, and 30-day all-access packages, and you don't have to worry about missing anything. It's a great way to do it. It's a great way to partner up here as we get ready to say goodbye to January here. Already of 2023, so much more still to come. Just visit them over at WagerTalk.com. Let's talk about some best bets for the show here. Now, Bryan Power, a lot of interesting spots and situations on this card here tonight in college hoops. You got one that you like a little more than the rest for us.
Yeah, we're just going to go back to Michigan for this spot, Joe. Just to add a couple more things on Purdue. Rob hit on this a little bit with them being consistently overpriced. 1-3 against the number as a road favorite this season, and they're 13-24-1 against the number, laying points in conference games going back to 2016. I mentioned that Michigan, a lot of close losses this year. Rob mentioned the one against Virginia. At the very worst, I think this is comparable. I am taking the points with the maize and blue for today's best bets.
Ooh, all right, there you go. We got a one dog barking here already. How about it there, Vino? Which one of these games are you rolling with here tonight?
First, I want to back up way to the beginning there where Tony got in his soapbox, because I was in that love-hate relationship, minus the love, totally, with Kirk Kriisa last year. I mean, the dude thinks he's way better than he actually is when you watch his antics out on the floor. So I was applauding Mr. Mejia for getting a little bit vengeful and going back and digging up some brutal statistics on that one player. I'm going to go to the game out west with UCLA. You know, they've been like a pendulum in conference play, guys. Listen to these numbers. They shot terribly against Washington State, 36.2%, but then bounced back and shot 45-3, almost 10% better. Then they go down and shoot 34-5, come back and shoot 48-3, shoot 38-1, come back and shoot 50. Now they're off of a 31.3% performance. Tony mentioned the addition of Bailey to the lineup, which is huge as far as offense is concerned. And I think that the 7-1 addition for USC helps them inside. Only 23 free throws in the first game. That number's got to go up here, I would think. And Joe, to your point about if they had done anything in the second half whatsoever, that game would have gotten over. This total's even lower at 133.5. Second time around, adjustments are made. I think we'll get over 133.5 in the UCLA game here tonight.
All right, there you go, guys. Opportunities. Love these games, especially the late night card is awesome. Do you have a game here, Mejia, you're looking at for us?
I do. We'll go off the board on the show, but just my first 5% college basketball play of the season it runs tonight. It's a late night game, so it'll be up there all day. And on a 5-0 college basketball, all college hoops run, dating back to the Miami Duke game over the weekend. And number one, since I was fortunate enough to be brought on board in October of 2020 on units gained on 5% plays in college hoops, over 34 hitting 63%. So hopefully that continues this season, because really haven't gotten on board. It's been a strange season with college basketball for me. I've taken a step back volume wise. So hopefully now we're heating up. And the best bet is also available, the free play, on my page at wt.buzz/TM, and it is a Big West battle, which is the true degenerate special tonight, because it's the midnight game. So if you've lost early, and this is the one to get it all back with, it's UCSB, Cal Santa Barbara, against Hawaii, visiting Honolulu. These are two of the top teams in the Big West. UC Irvine's in there. UC Riverside surprising this year, and they're all lumped together at 7-1, 7-2. So this is a big one, and I think it will be treated as a big one, in that the pace will be slow. Hawaii plays at a slow pace as it is. UCSB doesn't really slow you up. And Hawaii has been tremendous at home, have won 8 straight at home. They beat Washington State in that Diamond Head Classic. They beat SMU in that event. They beat Long Beach State at home. So they're going to come to play. The Hawaiian fan base is a pretty good one, and they support this team. I think the under is the play here. It's up to 128. I got it at 127.5 on my page, but I like the low side. I think it's going to be one of those 62-60 games.
All right, a little Hawaii. Oh, you've got to love them Hawaii matchups there. A little late night degenerate special as you're going through the tickets. Oh, lost this one, lost this. Oh, Hawaii's playing. All right, great. Let's dive in here. Our friends from the Gold Sheet, they too have a play of the day. And of course, we encourage you guys to head over to thegoldsheet.com. Great write-ups on the games, not to mention all the stats that you could need, the trends, all great information. Knowledge is power. And you can get that over at thegoldsheet.com. And they are looking at Grand Cabin and Abilene Christian tonight. Only they're going to be looking at points, and more points. They're going to take the over here, showing that it is cashed in 11 straight Grand Canyon games. Abilene Christian, by the way, scores 18 points per game more at home than away. And their defense has, it has not been great. It's been a big drop-off from last year's squad. So when you put it all together, expect points tonight and the over with Grand Canyon and Abilene Christian. All right, so we took it down last night. We barely got by, but Wake stood, only lost by 2. We had it at 3, so that was good for us. And tonight I'm going to go out west, too, for another late night degenerate special, and I'm going to take UC Davis. I'm going to take the Aggies going up against Bakersfield. And listen, the definition of insanity is seeing something with your own eyes and going, wow, that team sucks, and then not acting on it, because we just saw this 2.5 weeks ago. UC Davis had no problem handling one of the worst offensive teams here in Bakersfield, 67 to 48. It was an 8.5-point line in which UC Davis covered. Now I'm only got to lay 7, and yes, it's on the road, but the 6 people, 3 of which will actually work at Bakersfield in attendance. I'm not worried about any sort of home court advantage here. Lay the 7 with UC Davis tonight, taking on Cal Bakersfield. And to recap one more time for us here, guys, we've got Bryan Power back in Michigan. Take those 5. Mahia, he's going to go under in a late night special there. Hawaii and Santa Barbara go under 128. Vino, he likes the over with UCLA and USC here tonight. I'm back in UC Davis. I'll lay the 7 on our friends from the Gold Sheet. Grand Canyon, Abilene Christian, up and over the total there. And guys, head over to WagerTalk.com. Visit all 3 of these gentlemen. Grab one of those 3-day, 7-day, and 30-day all-access packages. And then make plans to come on back and hang with us again tomorrow as we get ready for a huge weekend in college basketball. On behalf of Bryan, his plants, Rob Vino, Tony Mejia, we appreciate it, guys. Best of luck with all your plays tonight. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Ready to take your favorite WagerTalk handicappers wherever you travel this football season? The WagerTalk TV app is now live for phones, tablets, smart TVs, and streaming platforms. Tune into your favorite shows like WagerTalk Today, Bet on It, and the Opening Line Report. Plus, browse through our extensive library of sports betting tips. Create your personal playlist of betting tip videos to help you prepare for the upcoming season, and set notifications to alert you when new content is added. Download the app for Apple, Android, Amazon, and Roku devices by searching for WagerTalk TV, or scan the QR code on your screen to join the winning conversation today.